Okay, one more minute. I think I saw Anthony there. Anthony, can you hear us?
Yes, great evening, kings and queens. How you doing on this beautiful evening?
We're doing well. All right, one more minute to go. And just let everyone know this is also being simulcast on the Manchester Inklink Facebook page, and it is being recorded. We will also have it later on manchesterinklink.com. Just a few more seconds here. All right, the time is now 6 p.m. We're about to start. We're going to start here. Everyone joining us, welcome to Manchester Inklink's first debate of the 2021 election season here in Manchester. I'd like to welcome Anthony Harris, Elizabeth Moreau, and June Trisciani to our first debate. We'll be having another debate next Wednesday as well. And to start things off, we will be, just to give you the rules here, basically, each candidate has 30 minutes to answer questions submitted by our readers, or not answer them, or introduce themselves, or say whatever they like, respond to other questions that were asked. They can do whatever they like. I'll be keeping time, and once I ask the questions, I'll shut up. The only rule is no swear words. Other than that, anything goes. So to determine who goes first, I will have a random number generator here. Share the screen with you. All right. So I'm unmuting June, Anthony, and Elizabeth. Everybody, could you pick a number between 1 and 50?
26.
Okay, Anthony?
37.
Okay, how about you, Elizabeth?
17.
Okay, let's see who's closest. 14, Elizabeth, you go first.
Yes.
All right, we have 5 categories. The first category is housing and homelessness, which we have 17 questions from our readers. Which one would you like to pick?
For myself to answer, or for another person to answer, or
For yourself, and then you will pick the next one.
okay.
I believe June was the closest after that.
So just a number 1 through 17.
Yeah.
I'll do number 3.
Okay. Tim Brown from Ward 1 asks, what can the city of Manchester do to get the state government to help with the burden of homelessness and mental health services, and have recent court decisions from both federal and state on homeless rights adversely impacted our city? Your time starts now.
So I'll start with the second part of the question first. Having a homeless bill of rights, which I believe was discussed recently in the city chambers, is kind of a dangerous thing to do. Of course, we want to give the best services to people, and we want to make sure that they are taken care of to the best of our abilities. But once you give something in law and in writing, you open the city up to a wide slew of litigation that could happen. And it could cost the city a lot of money. Other than that, working with the state is something that I think we need to enhance. We need to work with our state delegation a lot more, the state senators from Manchester, the representatives. I think we need to bring them into Manchester as often as possible to let them know what's going on our front lines. They're elected, but they don't come to City Hall very often. They might catch information on your website or on the union leader or through their circle of friends, but seeing what our department heads are dealing with and getting that information, to cross over to the state level is critical. And I think we can create a committee to help, smooth out that transition of information.
Okay.
I think that was all of that question. I'm not sure that was the one question.
Okay. Thank you, Elizabeth. All right. And now can you pick a number from 1 to 17 for June, and then June will pick a number from 1 to 16 for Anthony in this category. So any number from 1 to 17 other than 3. Hold on, you're muted. Could you repeat that?
Yep, number 17.
Okay. June, number 17. Rice from Ward 3 asks, are there jobs that we can give to homeless people so they will stop begging on the streets?
I think that one of the situations we run into with the homelessness and the housing issue is, in some cases, there's mental health issues. We have outreach workers going out into the community, talking to people. I see Alderman Long is in this call. I know he has worked with some to get them jobs. We have some companies in the area. I know Lowe's in particular is willing to hire folks without full checks to make sure that they have a stable job, stable income. They will work with us in that right. As far as giving them jobs, I'm not sure if it's, if we're referencing giving them, city jobs, giving them things to do. I think what we have to do is we have to work on several issues. We have to work on the mental illness challenge that we are running into. We have to work on housing. When someone doesn't have stable housing, it's really difficult to put everything else together in your life. I think anybody knows how disruptive that can be. So I think we need to continue to work with the programs that we have right now as far as building more affordable housing, continuing our outreach programs to these people to allow us to work with them, and hopefully the ones that are panhandling and that chances of coming in or not coming in are tenuous, that we can continue to work with them to bring them in. I think we've also got some great things happening with Shauna Green's program and with community outreach. So I wish it were as easy as saying, here, great, let's give you a job. But I think there's other challenges we have to solve, and we have to continually work on all of the pieces as they come together to make that possible.
Okay. Thank you, June. All right. In this category, the housing and homelessness, for Anthony, pick a number between 1 and 17, other than 17 or 3.
I'm throwing number 8 your way, Anthony.
Okay, Anthony. Let's see what we got here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, number 8 is Christy from Ward 2. She asks, how important is it to control rents and prices of homes to reflect the average income?
Could you repeat the question again, please?
Sure. How important is it to control rents and prices of homes to reflect the average income?
I think it's very important. My name is Anthony Harris. I'm running for Alderman at large. And this is one of the reasons why I'm running. See, I feel that there are two main components, and first is the service for the houseless do not meet the needs of the people who it's servicing. We need to invest into mental health workers and addiction recovery specialists. And these people don't make a lot of money, so it's hard for us to recruit them. So we need to make sure that the social workers that we have are fully staffed and that they are paid a livable wage. The vast majority of people who are living outside have some sort of untreated mental health disorder. We need more diversity shelter beds of those who are using substances and for those not using substances, along with other services. For instance, someone that is chronically ill, if you were to put them in an apartment without treating them, most likely they won't be able to cope. I will work with the director of Homeless Initiative, Skona Green, to make sure we are meeting the needs of our houseless community. We need to focus on the data collection to be able to answer some of the more hard questions. And that's exactly what she's doing.
Great. Thank you so much, Anthony. Stopping the clock. Okay, now we go to the second category, public safety. In that category, we have 16 questions. Anthony, can you pick a number from 1 to 16 for Elizabeth to answer?
7.
Okay, thank you so much. Elizabeth, can you unmute yourself? We unmute you.
There it is.
Oh, there we go. Okay, Elizabeth, East Side resident from Ward 6 says, driving in this city is scary. No policing has resulted in Wild West driving conditions. What is your plan to fix this?
I'd like to work with Department of Public Works to find alternatives for speed mitigation. I know Ward 6 has a lot of, back roads that are straight and they've all been paved recently. Out by the lake in East Industrial, people like to go 50, 60, 70 if there's not a lot of traffic out there. I would like to see temporary speed bumps, more police enforcement. One thing I did speak with another alderman about is potentially lowering the threshold for actually giving tickets within the city. Typically, you're not going to get a speeding ticket unless you're going 10, 15 miles over the speed limit, is what I'm hearing. We should lower that threshold, keep enforcing it over and over, and then people will come to realize, if I'm going 10 over the speed limit, that's not okay in Manchester anymore. Some of our surrounding towns have better enforcement, especially on 114 in Goffstown. People know, do not speed on the road because you will get pulled over. So we just need to kind of beef up our road patrols over on that side of town and just start enforcing the rules, which I think we need to do around the board on everything that we do. A lot of the times it seems we don't have enough staffing to enforce all the rules, but I think on the administrative side, if we had some staff there, we could actually, enforce the speed limit to what it should be, not 10, 15 miles over. I would start there for speeding over there in Ward 6.
Okay, thank you so much, Elizabeth. And now for June, could you pick a question for her, number 1 to 16, excluding number 7?
Yep. Number 1.
Okay. June, can you please unmute?
Yes.
All right. Number 1 comes from JR from Ward 1. How are you going to support or enforce the police to do their jobs, including the number of drivers that speed, run red lights, pass on double lines, and so forth? It seems like the police do nothing about it.
I think to one of the points, I think you realize that in Manchester, we are working on a lot of different fronts. Interestingly enough, I did meet with Chief Aldenberg earlier today to talk about some of the issues we have in Manchester. As some people may or may not be aware, we're still, I believe, 26 officers under complement for having a full team of officers to actually be able to address and tackle all of the challenges that a city of our size is facing. I do know that with bringing on new officers, they've changed some of the practices to try to hire officers earlier. Working with some of the additional American Rescue Plan funding to bring different additional resources on to work within the health department on some of the calls that we get for wellness checks and things that don't necessarily require a full complement of officers, and that we could have somebody in the community helping out with. That will allow us to free up officers to then look at some of these other hotspots in the area and take care of some of the other challenges we have with traffic enforcement within the city.
Okay, thank you, June. And now again, could you pick a question for Anthony in this category, 1 to 16, excluding number 1 or number 7?
Let's go with number 10, Anthony.
Okay, number 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Do you want me to pick lower numbers?
No, that's fine. That's fine. Anthony, can you unmute yourself, please? There we go. All right, number 10. Tara Harlander from Ward 9 asks, what is your plan for Manchester youth? How can we activate our youth to grow our workforce programs, internships, and extended learning opportunities and pathways to high school graduation? And how can Manchester youth better interact with Manchester police?
Yes, thank you for that beautiful question. I appreciate you asking it. We have seen all the breaking headlines and news captions that don't always present our public safety in the best image. Firstly, I want to commend and personally thank our law enforcement officials, especially our police department, for the invaluable work they are doing to protect us. However, with that being said, we need to address a few areas to strengthen the work being done where the entire community feels supported. First, We need to ensure that all our officers are trained to treat all of the community equally, fairly, and respectfully. No one should be treated differently based on their personal traits, such as economic status, community affiliation, or race. Second, we need to ensure the police academy and law enforcement departments receive more sensitivity awareness training to ensure that all members of the community feel protected and that the police department is non-biased. And third, we need more neighborhood patrol programs and our local community residents and our youth. We need to stop spending our money on military-style arms for the police and invest in more resources and education to support law enforcement. According to the Manchester Police Department, crime is down in the city right now. However, we have a large police force for a population of our size, where we spend excessive amounts of money on things like overtime and salaries. I do not believe in defunding the police. That would create anarchy. I believe we should address the root cause of crime by investing in our community programs like affordable housing, social workers, and crisis counselors who are trained to address mental health and substance abuse issues.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Anthony. Stopping the clock. All right, so now we have another category here. That one possibly should have been in this category. This next category is education. We have 19 questions here. Anthony, can you pick a question for Elizabeth from 1 to 19? Okay, can you unmute yourself, please? Hold on. Having some technical difficulties. I apologize. Anthony, can you hear us now?
There you go.
Okay. Can you pick a number 1 to 19, please?
16.
Okay, 16. Elizabeth, can you hear us?
Yes.
All right. Question number 16 comes from Robert from Ward 2. Has Dr. Goldhart done a good job running the school district?
It's hard to say if one person has done a good job running the school district. He is the he's the department head for our entire district. I believe he's come up with some good ideas that we need to vet through the system. I think a lot of the problems that we have on our school district side are just inconsistencies where we had Dr. Vargas before, we had some plans, there's a couple of elections, long-term plans were lost in the wind. They change every year, and the information from the school board is not making it over to the Aldermanic side. If we fix some of those problems, I think he would be doing a fantastic job. I know just one instance last year where I voted on moving 5th graders to middle school based on the information that our middle schools are overcrowded. And if we move them, we can lower class sizes. Who doesn't want to lower class sizes? So we voted to do that. A month and a half later, we were given information that while we made that vote, there was an audit going on of the school district, which then said, no, wait, your elementary schools are not overcrowded. We should actually close some of them. You can't make good decisions if you're not given the right data. So that communication channel between the school district and the Aldermanic board needs to be opened up and shared with everyone appropriately.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, Elizabeth, for June, can you unmute yourself, please, Elizabeth? Hold on. Where'd you go, Elizabeth? There we go.
are.
All right, so Elizabeth, for June, could you please pick a number from 1 to 19 in this category other than 16?
Number 2.
Okay, number 2. June, are you with us?
There we go. Thank you, Andy.
Okay. Tim Brown from Ward 1 asks, do you support the creation of a 2 high school system for the city, one for college preparation and the other for as a fully dedicated vocational technical high school?
That is a great question. I support investigating and evaluating all options that may be out there. I think at this point in time, we need to kind of gather the data. We need to understand what's out there before making a decision as grand as that. I do think we also need to fold in when we're looking at vocational ed, when we're looking at college bound. I think there's also some crossover instances with students that may not be able to choose specifically one or the other. However, I do believe we need to bring into our school system more options for vocational training for students that aren't necessarily college bound students. Back in when I was teaching in Manchester in the 90s, one of my jobs was as administrator to a coordinator of a Clinton program, which was the School to Work Initiative, where what we did is we actually had money presented to the district that allowed us to work with various businesses in the community and create some public-private partnerships where students could intern and actually work with these businesses and learn more about it to understand what track they wanted to follow. In that instance, we could also extend that to working with the various unions today who offer vocational training. There's many avenues to pursue, and I wouldn't be able to say today, yes, that's our solution, but I do believe we need to investigate our options and we need to do everything we can to make sure we're doing what's best for the children of our city.
Okay. All right, June, same thing. Please ask Anthony a question here from 1 to 19, excluding 16 or 2.
Let's go with number 9.
Number 9. Anthony, are you with us? Hold on. See you unmute, Anthony. There you go.
There we go.
Okay. All right. Number 9 for Anthony comes from Rochelle from Ward 10. She says, I am a big supporter of the dual language immersion concept I've heard Superintendent Goldhart talk about. I think French is an important part of Manchester heritage. I support helping children learn it. Do you agree? And if so, how can you make this happen?
Oh, Rochelle, thank you, Queen, for the beautiful question. Yes and yes. Manchester is the second most diverse city in this state. There's a lot of refugees, African refugees that have come, and immigrants, and French is becoming like the second language here. I know there's a big, large, huge African community, and I feel like that would be a beautiful program to implement into our system for our children in Manchester.
Great. Thank you so much, Anthony. Okay. Once again, we're going to be going into another category here. We have 5 categories. This is the 4th one. This one is infrastructure and business. In this category, we got 15 questions from readers. Anthony, for Elizabeth, please pick a number from 1 to 15.
27.
1 to 15.
Oh, 15.
Yeah, up to 15.
15.
Okay. Elizabeth, are you with us?
Yes.
Okay, on question 15 here. Tony from Ward 8 asks, what is your opinion on how the city has been dealing with residential yard waste and recycling?
I believe the city most recently has been treating yard waste, which we all pay for, and disposal services as like a treat or an extra when it's in the money that we pay the city. I know they were thinking about reducing yard waste, and they were, reducing services, making roads private. When you pay your taxes in the city, you should have sufficient services. Mostly for yard waste, it's typically between April and November. We should have more service, if I were to say anything. We have a lot of people that put their waste out, wait a week or two until the actual truck comes around to grab it, and it gets thrown all over the neighborhood. And it destroys the neighborhood, facade, the look. People try to take pride in their neighborhoods, and it ends up all over the streets. So I think it's not an extra. We pay for it. We should have it, and it should be more regular in the pickup times that we have right now.
Okay, thank you, Elizabeth. All right. Again, Elizabeth, for June, please pick a number from 1 to 15 other than 15.
Yep, 14.
Okay. June, are you with us?
I am.
Okay. Ioannis from Ward 5 asks, what can we do to bring faster internet speeds to the city?
Wow. I'm gonna be honest with you, Annis. I would need to look into that a little bit more, but I do believe that I can't remember the communications company. I know one of the communications company is investing currently in laying fiber optic cable. I think that's something that we absolutely should investigate. I do feel challenged myself at times when we have one provider and we're all kind of beholden to one provider. But I know there are some other opportunities opening up within the city. And I think where that's not necessarily a city service that we provide, I do think we need to kind of keep our eye open and create, again, those partnerships where we have people coming into the city, bringing faster speeds and more options for the citizens of our community.
Okay, thank you. All right. And so again, 1 to 15, other than 14 or 15 for Anthony.
12.
Okay, Anthony, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Rondo from Ward 11 asks, are there enough parks in the city, and are the ones that we have now enough to properly serve the city's residents?
I'm not sure exactly how many parks we have in the city. I definitely would have to go back to my team and research this topic. And I wouldn't know exactly how many parks would be enough. What I do know is the parks that I see in the city right now, especially towards Beach Street and Union Street, those parks are, in my opinion, inadequate. I feel that they need to be cleaned up and cleaned out. The area around it needs to be cleaned out so that the children can actually come there and have a safe place to play at in our parks.
Okay, thank you, Anthony. All right, our fifth category is miscellaneous. So if anybody had any other questions that didn't fit into the first 5 categories, it went here. Anthony, can you please pick a number from 1 to 18?
3.
All right. Elizabeth, are you with us?
Yep.
Okay. Kendra A from Ward 7 says, following the accidental death of a pedestrian on Valley Street lately, what can you do to help non-car driving Manchester residents?
We really need to clean up our signage, our roads. I can't imagine riding a scooter down Elm Street now, starting from the liquor store up until, Bridge Street or beyond. The lanes shift constantly. They disappear, they reappear. They're on one-ways, they're here, they cross over. Our sidewalks are all different colors. You got brick, you have a cat one, you have a yellow one, you have a white one. There's no consistency for drivers and pedestrians alike. We need to clean up that whole corridor where people do use those walkways more often. As far as the incident near Valley Street over there where the elderly woman lost her life, it's very sad and tragic. I don't know the circumstances around that driving incident. I know it was later at night. I'm not sure if the driver was impaired. I don't believe he was arrested. But we need to enforce our speed limits. Was speeding an issue? I'm not sure. Was intoxication an issue? I don't believe so. But we do need to clean up our signage so that it's consistent across the city. That will help drivers better know their limits, know when to expect pedestrians, and make our bike lanes more safe. Right now, it's kind of crazy and chaotic downtown.
Okay. Elizabeth, please pick a number from 1 to 18 for June. Can you unmute yourself for a sec?
There we go. Number 2.
Number 2, thank you. Okay, June, Again, I apologize to anyone who asked these questions if I'm getting them, reading them incorrectly here. June, are you with us?
I am.
Okay. Question number 2. Kelly from Ward 3 asks, why do you want to become an alder person?
Oh, that is a great question, Kelly. Thank you for that. I have served in the past in the city. I have been on the Heritage Commission. I termed over there. I am currently serving as chair of the planning board. And I have reached a point that I just felt like the timing was right. I have been, I've always been involved in the community. I am a resident of Manchester by birth. I am a resident today by choice. And I have always loved Manchester. I think we are an amazingly resilient city. And I think coming out of COVID, we really proved that to ourselves even more. We have a ways to go. We have our challenges, but I think we're positioned greatly in a great space to move forward. When looking at the meetings today, one of my frustrations is it feels like we have people around the table who are just fighting each other to fight. We're focused on national party lines, and we're supposed to truly have a nonpartisan board. And my feeling is we need to make some changes around the table, get people that are at the table that are looking at what's in the best interest for the citizens of Manchester. Every decision we're making should be focused on what are we doing locally. We shouldn't be following checklists. We shouldn't be following lines. We always need to ask ourselves what's best for our community and what's the best way to move our community forward. And in making my decision, I did not take it lightly. As in running for alderman at large, one of my goals also is to really take that position in a direction where we are looking across the entire city. There are things that come up that impact multiple wards. There are things citywide that can work with. I've committed to working with the state reps in Manchester and for Manchester so that we can actually make sure that we are passing legislation and we're working closely with the state so that we are getting not only our needs met, but we're starting some of the downshifting of costs that we're getting from the state that are affecting our property taxes and services that we have to offer. So that was really one of my main factors. I hope that answered your question, and I'm doing this and just asking for support and asking for everybody's vote on the 21st. Thank you.
Thank you, June. All right, June, again, for Anthony, please pick a number from 1 to 18.
Let's go with 15.
Okay, Anthony. John from Ward 6 asks, what steps would you take if elected to improve the public perception in regard to the overall decorum on the board of mayor and aldermen?
Thank you. I definitely appreciate your question. I want to see a better community where each one of us feels supported and prideful with a sense of belonging, that this is our home, regardless of who we are. I'm a man of wisdom and integrity who truly understands and embraces the need of community with unconditional judgment. Each one of us is made up of differently. However, we all have one common dream: to live in a society where everyone fits in. I meet people where they are in life, looking at everyone through the lens of love and understanding. I understand that for us to see the change we want in our communities, we must first unify. And unification can be achieved through listening to each other, respecting each other, loving each other, and supporting each other. I believe we have every piece of the puzzle we need to form the united Manchester that we've been dreaming of since the day we fell in love with it. The time has come for the realm of humankind to see, in great part because of technology, we are all sharing real estate and resources across the globe. America is in the midst of a political polarization, the likes that have never been seen before. Our challenges are bigger than Republican, Democrat, red team, blue team. We must retire all of our old wars and find a way to bring the women and men who are in combat in the streets of America back into the shared American story of peace, prosperity, and forgiveness. Too many people speaking who's to blame instead of how do we solve it. How can we build a world where things are going so great that everyone wants to be a parent and raise the next generation of us? What will make us so happy that we want to see the best of us live on in another body? That's the kind of world I want to give every bit of my life and energy to achieve it, starting right here in our own backyard, Manchester, New Hampshire. And my name is Anthony Harris, and that's why I'm running for Alderman at large.
Okay, thank you, Anthony. All right, Anthony, okay. So now we're going through all 5 categories. So we're going back to the housing and homelessness category. Please pick a question for Elizabeth from 1 to 17. We've already done number 3, number 8, and number 17. So any of those numbers other than 3, 8, or 17. Anthony, can you unmute yourself, please? I can't hear you. Number 5. Okay, thank you, Anthony. All right, Elizabeth. Number 5. Bunny from Ward 11 asks, how do you plan to support the initiatives proposed by our Director of Homeless Services, Shauna Green?
I like Shauna's plans that she's come up with so far, jumping right into the saddle. It is a huge problem here in Manchester, the homelessness problem. Once I am Alderman at large, I plan on being more proactive about involving myself, making it more of a full-time position than a part-time position like I was doing with Ward 6. A lot of people don't know that, as Alderman, most of the people on the board are retired currently, but the ones that aren't retired have a full-time job on the side. Currently, I have a job now that's more flexible, so I can put myself more all into this position. I would like to have a sit-down meeting with Shauna, go over some of her ideas and some of my ideas and ideas I've heard from the community. A lot of the homelessness problem that we have is evolving around a core set of people that do not want to go into shelters. They don't like the options that they have, or they just don't want to be in those shelters. There are a lot that are accepting the help and accepting the hand up and to get into the system, to have assistance to get into long-term housing, job searches, healthcare, things like that. And those people should be applauded for helping themselves up with our assistance. I love that. The ones that are on the street still that are refusing to come in, refusing to get help, refusing to go to healthcare if they have mental health issues, we need to enforce our laws. I don't believe her plan was as stringent in enforcing those laws and making those people accept a hand up or move on out of Manchester. I'm not a strong believer in enabling bad behavior. And like I said, I understand a lot of it is mental health problems, but they need to accept assistance or be assigned to someone that can help them accept, responsibility for them if they're unable to make good decisions for themselves. So it would really involve, working with her and her team, giving the opinions that I have, working with the board to inform her decisions a little bit more. But I love that she stepped into the position right off the bat and came up with a plan. And I look forward to working with her in the future, hopefully.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And I apologize to Bunny. I believe the actual term of Shauna Green's job is Director of Homeless Initiatives. So I apologize for saying that incorrectly, but thank you, Bunny, for the question. All right, Elizabeth, don't go yet. Please, Elizabeth, please pick a number from 1 to 17 for number 1. Okay. For June here, this is Kelly again from Ward 3. The girl's so nice, they named her twice, or the guy's so nice. I'm not sure if it's a guy or a girl. Where would you put people who have no address?
That is a challenge. One of the things we're running into today, and as Ms. Moreau said, we do currently have 150 people who, at this point in time, we are aware of them. There are other issues that are preventing them from going into housing. When you have them living on the street, in a lot of cases, there is a mental health issue involved in that. Today, we have outreach workers going out into these communities. We have the community response team from the fire department going out into the community and keeping tabs. In some cases, it is checking in to make sure they're okay. In some cases, it's making sure they're getting the medication that they need. In every case, it's asking when that person is ready to come in, and if today's the day that they're ready to get a bed because we have a bed for them. That's a challenge in itself, and it is impossible. And if Manchester had the solution, we would be addressing this all across the country. It's difficult to force someone into housing. To get someone into stable housing, once we get them past the point where they're willing to come in, there has to be a level of services. We have to provide the treatment we need. We need to then get them in a supportive situation where we've got someone working with them on an ongoing basis. Additionally, we have many people that don't have housing, that are living in their cars. I think the number I heard recently is we have 20 people in one of the shelters that have vouchers and are waiting for housing. And the problem is Manchester, and I believe it's across statewide, we have less than 1% of housing available for people. That makes it impossible to get all of these people housed. We need to look at alternatives. I have been impressed so far with Shauna's work, and I think bringing her into the city has been great. The American Rescue Plan has opened up funding for, we have property owners who just are not taking care of their properties. We've opened up funding through the American Rescue Plan that are allowing us to give grants to property owners who are willing to fix their properties and keep affordable housing so that we can keep these tenants. I have been working with the Housing Alliance through Rights and Democracy. I went to an apartment with one of the workers one day to check in, and the living conditions were just horrible. They're dealing in situations where they have bugs. They're dealing in situations where their doors won't even close properly. And these are families living in these homes paying excessive rents. If we can work with these landlords, if we can work with these tenants, we have people that are in situations where they could be evicted now that the eviction moratorium has been lifted. We have funding available. There is a process of, we just have to educate everybody as to what's available to make these improvements. We also have funding, and I strongly believe on the building side of things, we need to have programs, and money has been set aside through the American Rescue Program that we can also now create some programs to incentivize our local contractors and our builders to build affordable housing. There's nothing to say when you're building a 50-unit building that you can't take a small percentage of those apartments and make them workforce housing. The apartments can be smaller, they can be, toward the back. There's ways of laying it out that we can start doing some mixed buildings and try to address everybody's needs. In every community, you need to reach multiple levels. You need to reach your affordable level and lower income. You need to reach that middle income, and then you need to reach that higher end. And unfortunately, right now, we're doing a lot of building at market rate, and we are not taking care of our needs for people that need housing. Sorry, I may have gone off track a little bit with the question, Kelly. I hope I answered what you were looking for, but we have a ways to go. And I wish it were as easy as just putting everybody in a box and creating that one community, but we have work that we have to do in this area. And I think we are definitely on a track to move forward. I would love to see you get involved as we are looking at, we have a housing commission that I know that they are working on getting spots filled. I would love to see more community members stepping up to do this. As part of the master plan, we will be working on some zoning ordinance changes. Those changes will help us work with developers to make it easier to build in Manchester, maybe add some change some of the density requirements so that we can build more housing more quickly. And these are things that as a community, I can do so much as an alderman at large, and I will work and do whatever I can, but we also need community involvement. We need you guys to come to the table with us, and you need to be with us to make this happen.
Thank you so much. All right, before you beat yourself, June, again, can you pick a number from 1 to 17 for Anthony, excluding the following numbers: 1, 3, 5, 8, and 17.
Oh, let's do number 4.
Number 4. Okay, Anthony, are you unmuted?
Yes.
All right, thank you, Anthony. Anthony, Sue from Ward 1 asks, what will you do to increase the number of affordable, i.e. very low income people, housing units? And what innovations in dealing with homelessness are you aware of that have been successful in other similar cities to Manchester?
Thank you for this beautiful question. Homelessness is running rampant right now in the city of Manchester. Ever since Governor Sununu lifted the eviction ban, it is so many more people have become houseless. I just finished talking to a couple who both of them have jobs. They both work, and yet they had a deal going on with their landlord. But then when Governor Sununu lifted the ban, it wasn't in writing. The landlord evicted them. So due to no irresponsibility of themselves, it's the pandemic, nobody can help that. You know, they were evicted and now they're homeless while still having jobs. So I feel like one of the things that we have to do is raise the minimum wage to a livable working wage, so that people who are working a job can actually afford to live in an apartment and pay all of their bills without worrying about being evicted and without worrying about their children's going through the trauma of eviction. And so I feel like a big part of it is our workforce, is raising the minimum wage so that our people in our community can have a livable working wage.
Okay, thank you, Anthony. All right, we're going to unmute Elizabeth here. And Anthony, before you unmute yourself, we're going to go back to the public safety section. We have 16 questions that our readers asked there. Please pick a number from 1 to 16, excluding number 1, number 7, or number 10.
Number 16.
Number 16. All right. Elizabeth, can you hear us?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Jones from Ward 7 asks, it seems like there are a lot of shootings in the city. How can we fix this?
A lot of the shootings that we see are coming from out of state. Honestly, they're coming from Massachusetts, New York. A lot of these people are coming from out of there. A lot of the DEA shootings that we've seen, out of state, bringing drugs in. Other than that, the local ones that we have been seeing a lot of also, we need to get into our communities more. We need to, get into our communities that are being affected by gangs and violence. We need more community enforcement, community and policing. There's been a lot of shootings and actual murders in the past few years that are still unsolved. And it's terribly sad. I believe one of them was Chandler. There was another senior lady a few years ago whose murder is still unsolved. Rumor has it, or online, they've been saying it was a gang initiation. We need to work on busting down on our gangs, enforcing the rules, working with our state to fix the bail problem, because a lot of these aggravated crimes, short of murder, are just getting out the next day. I don't believe in holding people in prison because they can't afford to pay bail. But when it comes to aggravated crimes, drug crimes, violence, domestic abuse, you need to serve the time until we're sure that you're not a threat to anyone else in the future. But I do believe a big part of our problem is from out of state and the drug deals that are coming across the borders. We need to work with the state with that also, in the DEA and our Manchester Police Department too. They're doing a great job working with the DEA and a couple other agencies, but we just need to continue to hammer down on that.
Okay. All right, Elizabeth, before you mute yourself, again, 1 to 16 for June here, excluding 16, 10, 7, or 1.
Number 3.
Number 3. All right. June, are you with us? Can you hear us, June?
I can now, thank you.
Okay. June, Kendra A. from Ward 7 asks, how can we build confidence in the vaccine, I assume the COVID-19 vaccine, among hesitant and conspiracy-minded Manchester residents?
That's a loaded question, and I'm not sure I have an answer for you, Kendra. Look, the reality is It is a FDA approved and tested vaccine. I think we are seeing right now with the number of cases we have with people that are vaccinated, and yes, they are still getting COVID. It's a much more mild strain. I wish I had a way to just magically tell everybody you have to get vaccinated. The bottom line is everybody has to get vaccinated. This is the only way we're going to come out ahead on this. I will tell you that I am horrified right now at the fact that this winter we are going to be back in the same state we were last winter. We just need to be more vigilant. People need to be, wearing masks. If, obviously we can't force anybody to get a vaccine. It is a personal choice. But I think, the science is out there. The vaccine is approved. Given the number of people that have it, I think we've got enough testing out there. I wish I had a silver bullet to solve that one for you. And my best would be just constant encouraging everybody to get vaccinated. I think it's the only way we're going to be able to move forward. And, when you're in large groups, if you can't be social distanced, I'm all for masking up.
Okay, thank you, June. And before you mute yourself, for Anthony, again, 1 to 16, excluding 1, 3, 7, 10, or 16.
How about 9?
9. Okay. Anthony, can you hear us?
Yes, yes.
All right. Hello, Anthony, again. All right. Christy from Ward 2 asks, why isn't the COVID natural immunity discussed in relation to the vaccine mandates happening in the public and private sectors?
Thank you for the beautiful question, Christy. I don't know the answer to that one. Why isn't it discussed in public circles? Maybe we should start a forum. Maybe you can help us lead a forum in the public space to create that conversation. It's a conversation that definitely needs to be had. I think the COVID is very serious right now. If we really want to those who are hesitant in getting the COVID vaccination, I think what would stop their hesitancy would be more information and bring the awareness of where this information can be found. If you're having a Zoom, make sure you're marking it to every area of the city or of the state, so that everybody in every area of the state will be able to be aware of how dangerous the COVID is and what it's about and what this vaccination is, what's inside of it. Because in the BIPOC community, that's what the fear is non-trusting government. And that fear comes from the unknown. So we must educate and bring forth awareness. And so once we do that, I think we'll have a bigger and better turnout of people actually coming and getting vaccinated.
Okay, thank you, Anthony. Okay, before you mute yourself, we're going into another category again. We're going to go to the education category for the second time. For Elizabeth, please pick a number from 1 to 19, excluding 16, 9, or 2. Anthony, which one did you say?
1.
1. Thank you, Anthony. All right, Elizabeth. JR from Ward 1 asks, how are you going to make sure the school department is held accountable to their spending levels while enrollment decreases? Actually, how are you going to, let me read that one more time. How are you going to make sure the school department is held accountable to their spending levels? They seem to be increasing while enrollment decreases. Sorry about that.
I just want to touch on the question from Christy real quick about COVID, just one moment for that.
Sure.
Natural immunity is a great thing. Our bodies do what they need to do, and it works for some people. I think the federal government is pushing the vaccine because it's easier to just send one message. You can get that message across to everyone versus if you have COVID at this point in time, then you can do this and you should be okay there. Plus maybe a vaccine for these people. I do believe in natural immunity. If you have gotten it, I believe it is just as effective as the vaccine, if not more. The science is out there. You need to do your own research to keep yourself safe, whatever is best for you and your family. As far as education, the numbers don't lie. Since 20 years ago, we made a huge investment in our schools. The grades have gone down, the proficiencies have come down, the enrollments have gone down, and spending has consistently gone up year over year over year. We're closing an entire elementary school, not losing one staff position. So I'm not sure how that works out. The budget hasn't gone down because we're closing that school either. The school district, I'm actually thinking, I'm so happy that the autonomy bill that Mayor Joyce tried to push forward for the second or third time now got axed off by the AG. They're pushing something that was already decided that you need to have a committee and go through the proper channels to do. And they try to force it through the Aldermanic side with a couple of aldermen. That alone will help keep the school in check, having the aldermen have the final say on the budget. We do need to look at our schools. Our schools do need investment. I will not lie there. We need investment, but we need to work on proficiencies first, get our kids smart, get them reading, get them proficient in math, and then build the facilities to come around that. And that'll help the perception of our community too, to bring more students to our schools. I have 3 young children, and I would love for our schools to be where I think that they could be, challenging every student, not just meeting the bare minimum, and actually not even meeting the bare minimum in some cases. So it comes down to making sure that we keep the taxing authority at the Alderman board and doing a deep dive into those numbers, making sure we're working with our teachers to get them the education that they need beyond their degrees to educate our children to where we want them to be at, and then building the facilities to match that.
Okay, thank you, Elizabeth. All right, before you mute yourself, again, 1 to 19 for June, excluding 1 to 9 or 16.
I'll do number 3.
Number 3, okay. June, are you with us?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Question number 3. Sue from Ward 1 asks, what are your thoughts about separating the Board of School Committee from the Board of Mayor and Alder people?
I am, as you would see in my inkling questions, I, along with several of the current board members, do agree that that would be the right thing to do. I think when someone is voted on for the school board, they're running for that position and they're voted in because they have the experience in that area. Very few members on the Board of Mayor and Aldermen have the experience in education and are voted onto the Board of Mayor and Aldermen on their skill set and what they can do. Even if the school board is decoupled and its own entity, they would still be beholden to the tax cap, just like every other board member in the city. The aldermen are held to it, the school board will be held to it. We are not giving the school board free rein to spend all the money they want, do whatever they want. We're actually giving them the ability to be held accountable for what they're doing and creating a situation where they are at a peer level to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. We shouldn't be having the school board kind of deciding things and then one other larger body deciding that everything they researched and everything they did wasn't good enough and we should shut it down. I think some of the current aldermen have pointed out the fact that you end up with a lot of finger pointing. So I do believe that they would have the same accountability. The voters would have the same ability to, vote them out if they don't like their decisions. But I do think that keeping them as a subboard essentially today is not going to help us get any further, and it's going to just continue to hold us back. I think we need to give them their responsibility, let them own what they're supposed to own on the schools, let the Board of Mayor and Aldermen own the rest of it, and let's work together and make this better and get things done.
Okay. And before you mute yourself, again, please could you pick a number for Anthony? 1 to 19, excluding 1, 2, 3, 9, or 16.
How about number 6?
Okay. Anthony, are you with us? Anthony.
I am here.
Thank you, Anthony. Okay. Tara Harlander from Ward 9 asks, what are your top three takeaways from Manchester's public education, and what should students master or take away from the elementary school level, the middle school level, and the high school level?
Beautiful question. I feel one of Manchester's weaknesses are we have a financially strained system that doesn't spend enough to meet the needs of our children. AIR just did a study that shows that Manchester spends $10,000 too little per student. And so, but I think on the flip side of that coin, the teachers go the extra mile to meet the needs of the students and their family. And I think that us as a city, we have to support our school system. And I'm in support of the school board being autonomous. Those that are most responsible for understanding our schools should be the same people controlling where our education dollars are spent. And I feel if we focus on that, then our kids would be able to get the education that they need, versus them being deprived because of lack of resources.
Okay, thank you so much, Anthony. All right, before you mute yourself, we're going to go into the next category here. Again, the infrastructure and business category, second time around here. We have 15 questions from our readers, and we've already done question 12, 14, and 15. So Anthony, could you please pick a number from 1 to 15, excluding 12, 14, or 15?
11.
All right, and question 11. Elizabeth, I'm unmuting you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, question 11. Robert from Ward 2 asks, do you believe businesses should be allowed to institute mask mandates or vaccine mandates if that's what they want to do?
I'm just going to backtrack again just to circle it back. As in regards to the autonomy of the school board, there's 3 lawyers who sit on the Aldermanic board, plus the city solicitor who listens in on most of the meetings. None of them could agree upon the fact that this autonomy bill would have made the school district responsible to the city tax cap. There is no school charter. A school charter would have to be drafted, and it would have the wording have to be in there to make it fall under the tax cap, is what I'm understanding. There hasn't been a ruling to say otherwise.
Anthony, please mute yourself. Sorry.
Oops, I'm sorry.
It's okay. And I know schools.
Oh, Elizabeth, sorry, 1 second. Sorry about that.
I know schools who can spend less per student and have better outcomes for their students or better proficiency levels. Spending isn't the only factor. We need to have the right curriculums. We need to have the right in-services for our educators to be trained on those curriculums, the right sources, the right books, textbooks, and supplies for them. As far as businesses making their own decisions, I am all for that. A business owner, you should be able to decide to be open, to be closed, to mask mandate, as long as you're not being prejudiced against a certain class of people. It's your choice as a business. That choice was taken away last year, and I don't believe in that. You know, a lot of people lost their entire life savings or livelihoods last year and had to change course completely, or move to a different area of the country, or go into an early retirement. I'm all for business choice. I myself would not, ban a customer based on the vaccine status, but that is the business's choice. I don't know if they could get away with asking for their medical records to prove that. They could request it at the door, but I'm all for business choice and personal choice.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Before you mute yourself, we have, all right, we're in the second question of the infrastructure and business round 2 here. So for June, please pick a number from 1 to 15, other than 11, 12, 14, or 15.
Do 13.
Okay. That makes it easier for me next time around. June, we're going to unmute you here. Question 13. Can you hear us?
I can.
All right. Alex from Ward 6 asks, what is your opinion on the city's bus system?
Wow. I think right now, Obviously, we can always do better. We can always do more. However, I do think that we've got a good handle on it right now. Talking from the city bus perspective, I do love the concept now that rather than having to be at a very specific stop at a specific time, people can be picked up on the bus route at any location or any point in the bus route. I believe we have some great services for seniors on the bus route. If he's on the school bus side of things right now, I couldn't be more happy that we have dropped the requirement for high school students to pay to be bused to school. I know in the state of New Hampshire that we don't have a requirement to bus students to school, yet I think we want to be able to make it easier for kids to get there. I know that we are also working and will constantly be changing over to more environmentally solutions with our bus. Transportation, any mode of public transportation is huge for us. I think this also plays into that strengthening our bus system will also help us strengthen as we bring rail into the city. I know we've just voted to really work on that a little bit more. Hopefully we will have the infrastructure funding to bring rail into the city. And as we enhance our multimodal transportation systems, that will only make us stronger from an economic perspective in bringing more businesses into the city, bringing more residents into the city. So yeah, bus, trains, we will always be looking at that. And that's something we always need to press forward with.
All right, thank you so much, June. Again, before you mute yourself, please ask a question for Anthony here, 1 to 10.
Number 5.
Number 5. Okay, Anthony, are you with us?
I'm here.
All right. Ashley Poulin from Ward 9 asks, what buildings are simply taking up space in Manchester with no residents or businesses? What is stopping Manchester from simply converting these structures to low cost and or free housing? And also, what innovative solutions can you bring to the table for Manchester's urban and industrial decay problem? Ashley, hopefully I asked that question properly. Anthony, what's your answer for Ashley here?
Thank you for the beautiful question, Ashley. I actually don't know what's stopping us from converting. I would actually have to do some research on that. I know we want to bring more affordable housing into Manchester. We want to make it more affordable, and we want to bring the community together. The object is to bring the community together in unity, and as we bring the community together and see what the issues that you're having, and we get you to start talking to each other, we can come up with these solutions together. Me being your alderman at large, if you choose to vote me in, I am a voice for the voiceless. I will be the voice for you. You can come to me and I will actually listen to you. And these are the things that we need to come together as a community to solve. And so it's a beautiful question, and that's exactly what I'm here to help you solve and the rest of the community.
Okay, thank you, Anthony. Now, before you go, we're going to the 5th category for the second time around here, the miscellaneous category. Anthony, we have 18 questions in that category. First time around, we ask questions 2, 3, or 15. So if you could pick a number from 1 to 18 other than 2, 3, or 15.
16.
Okay. Elizabeth, are you with us?
Yes.
Okay. Question 16 for Elizabeth. This one comes from John from Ward 6. Where do you stand on the medical and dental insurance that is offered to elected city and school board members?
Yep. So I'm just going to circle back because I like a lot of these questions from the residents. I wish we could all answer them all. I believe that the future is not with rail. The future of travel is with electrical vehicles. I believe we could have improved our electric system, put more electrical charging stations in Manchester with some of that federal money that we had. But the Board of Aldermen with their chair and the mayor were in a rush to spend all 40-something million dollars, which did not need to be allocated that month. We had 2 years to allocate it. The future of travel is not rail. It's going to be small electrical units that are more healthy and safe, smaller units. You're not with mass amounts of people catching COVID or any other virus that comes along the way. And it's more convenient than rail. That's where I believe the future is. And instead of beating the dead horse on rail, which we've been doing for 20 years, we need to move forward with more progressive ideas. As far as health benefits for the board, honestly, I've heard a lot of people on the board, it doesn't pay a lot of money to do the work that we have to do as aldermen. I myself would not request benefits. I have not requested benefits before. I will not take health, dental, or any other benefits as a sitting alderman at large. I do know some people, though, do take it, and it's the benefit of putting all that work in that they do put in for the position. Because the city allows it, I can't hold that against them. It's their choice, and it's a personal decision on what their family needs are. But for myself, I know I wouldn't take it. I know the cost to the city is rather high when people actually start using it. It could be the difference between, $5,000 for the city up to $50,000, depending on how much that member uses that health insurance benefit.
Great. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Before you mute yourself, again for June, please pick a number 1 to 18 other than 2, 3, 15, or 16. Number 1. Okay, June, question number 1. And before I ask this question, just a reminder for folks, we will be having another Alderman at Large debate next week with the other 4 candidates at the same time, 6 p.m. on September 8th. We also have a similar style debate with Rich Sherrard tomorrow at 2 p.m. That won't be live, but we'll have that tomorrow night for you. And I'm also working on another debate with another slate of ward alderman candidates, so stay tuned for that. So June, for question 1, are you with us?
Yes.
Okay, JR from Ward 1 asks, what are you going to do to reduce property taxes?
I think that's a great question, and that's one of those things that working with the state reps, I think we are in a situation where in a lot of cases, some of the costs that are being taken by the city and coming out of our property taxes are things that have been downshifted from the state level. So I think we need to look at everything on the whole. We need to make sure that the funding for programs is there at all levels and where it should be coming from. This is one of the situations that's going to be data driven at budget time, and looking overall what we can do. I'm a homeowner. I don't want my taxes going up anymore either, but I also recognize that we are trying to run a city and that there are people have a demand for services. So there's one of the situations that we have to look at everything on the whole. And yes, I would love to see lower property taxes. I would love to see no increase and keep my property tax where it is. But again, services come into play, and I think we have to look at the bigger picture. And at budget time, it is up to all of us to look at that and respect the tax cap. But I think at the same time, we also need to understand that we have infrastructure issues and we have other needs as a city, and we do have to provide services to our constituents, or I should say to our citizens. So it's something that we're just going to have to keep working on in every budget cycle and do the best we can with what we have.
Okay, thank you, June. All right, and before you mute yourself, again, for Anthony, please pick a number from 1 to 18, excluding 1, 2, 3, 15, or 16.
How about 18?
All right, Anthony, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you, Anthony. All right, Eric from Ward 4 asks, what will you do to address the disrespect shown at times by some members of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen to others?
I'm sorry, could you ask that question one more time?
Sure. What would you do, I assume if elected, to address the disrespect shown at times by some members of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen to others?
Well, if I'm elected as your alderman at large, you can't make another person or a group of people do anything. The only control you have is over yourself. And I have 100% and total control of me. And I'm a man that looks at everybody through the lens of love and understanding. I promise to be that example. To everything that I speak, you will actually see me doing. I believe love is a verb, and a verb is an action. It's things that you do. It's a collective things that you do to show a person, place, or thing that you love it. And I would just love them the way I wanted to be loved. The same way I already love this city, and I will be able to embrace this city on a bigger scale. So I would just live the example that I'm currently living now, and that I've been living, and hopefully in them seeing how I act and respond versus reacting. Hopefully they will respond in kind.
Okay, thank you, Anthony. Before you mute yourself again, we are going to go around for the third time to the housing and homelessness category here. For Elizabeth, please pick a number from 1 to 17, excluding 1, 3, 4, 5, 8, or 17.
16.
Okay, Elizabeth, are you with us? Elizabeth, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, there we go. 16. All right, question 16. Kay from Ward 12 asks, why does it seem like Manchester has to pick up the slack for nearby communities that are not building enough housing for themselves? What can we do to shift the burden off Manchester?
So I like to circle back. I agree 100% with Anthony's answer to the last question. It's a great answer. Another way which we can fix the ethics and disrespect on our board is to vote yes on the next ballot question, which you'll see in September. It'll allow the city charter to hold a new commission, and we can work on the ethics board, because currently the ethics board and the Manchester charter has no teeth. It has no responsibilities. Nothing ever gets sent to them. Nothing gets done. Short of murder or laundering, you can get away with anything on the board and not be held accountable. In regards to lowering the tax rate, which was June's question, I have in front of me the reevaluation numbers for Manchester. Homes have gone up 46%, while industrial land has gone up 21% and commercial is up 14%. What that means is that the burden for taxing is more on the single family homeowners or duplex homeowners. That's shifting towards us more. We need to invite bigger companies, larger companies, get our vacant spaces filled with employers to take on that burden, to take some of that tax burden off of small families. And that would help bring down home costs, help bring down the unaffordability of housing here. As far as the surrounding communities, that's one of my ideas, is creating a committee with these surrounding communities, Bedford, Goffstown, Auburn, Hooksett, to bring them into the problems that we have here, because our problems flow outside of Manchester. We need to work with them to do planning outside of the city of Manchester. We don't have direct control over them, but to inform them what we're planning on doing and what they can do to assist us to block some of our problems from flowing into their communities.
Thank you, Elizabeth. All right, things are getting a little complicated there, so I pared down things. We have 10 questions remaining in this category. Elizabeth, please pick a number from 1 to 10 for June. Number 2. All right, June, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, question number 2. Daniel from Ward 4 asks, will you address the city's restrictive zoning rules regarding making building affordable housing, which currently seems impossible? Which steps will you take in this regard? And will you ask the state to increase funds for mental health and substance abuse treatment in Manchester, since this city seems to be a dumping ground for the state's undesirables?
Can I say yes, yes, yes? I think I could do that and just end it here, but I think I do want to elaborate a little more. One of the things and I alluded to this earlier as well, in passing the master plan is now we will start to work on some zoning ordinance changes. Again, we are going to be asking and looking for community involvement. So Daniel, I hope that you will be paying attention to that and you will be on board coming to those meetings and working with us. In addition to making zoning ordinance changes that will make it hopefully easier for builders to work with the city, work on some density guidelines in the ordinances so that we can actually build more units and work through those details. At the same time, the Housing Commission is going to be instrumental as they're formed in putting together recommendations and guidance on what we can do. The money from the rescue plan to help with housing. Currently, there are state initiatives happening as well. And again, this is where keeping in lockstep with our state reps and really helping to push and fight for that. And I think it comes down to, as Alderman at large, in working with the state reps, as I also need to do, we need to do a better job of communicating with all of you in the community. We need to let you know when these things are happening. We need to get it out there so that you are working with us. Again, we're going to need support to make a lot of these things happen. But pay attention. I know we'll be talking about it in the CityWorks column. I know InkLink is great at getting messaging out when things are happening and when events are happening. The city's website on the front page usually keeps lists of when these meetings are happening. So as we start looking at zoning, would love to have you involved, would love to have everyone in the community involved to work with us on this. To echo some things Anthony said, yes, I will be your alderman at large, but I need your help. And I need you to work with me and I need you to be there for me. As I'm out canvassing, I'm getting people raising questions and things all the time. And that is my standard response. We need to work together and we need to be there so that we can make these changes and we can have your support and get them through. Those zoning ordinances will be changed. Those will need to go through the Board of Mayor and Alderman for approval. These are multi-step processes, but we will work with that. We will work and do the best we can to get those through and to make it easier and take care of the fact that we have less than 1% of housing vacancies right now. And we need to do better. We need to make sure that our citizens are housed. We need to give them their basic needs and then we can move forward.
Okay. June, for Anthony, please pick a number from 1 to 9.
7.
All right. Anthony, are you with us? Anthony, can you hear me? Anthony.
Yeah, it wasn't allowing me to unmute it.
I apologize. That's okay. So John from Ward 6 asks, what options are there to address the current homeless situation in Manchester? Which options should be on the table? Which options should be off the table as we continue to address this issue? In addition to the fact that we, most of the public currently know that we have a homeless director in place discussing these issues.
Most of them, we know we have what in place discussing this issue?
This is in addition to most of the public knowing we already have we currently now have a homeless director in place discussing issues, I believe, what he asked. I guess let me repeat that. I think what he's trying to say here is what issue should be, what option should be on the table and what issues should be off the table. I think that's what he's trying to say.
When it comes to homelessness?
Yes, sir. Sorry about that.
I believe we need to explore every option. I don't believe any option should be off the table. I think we need to come together and explore every option and see what option is best for the city of Manchester as a whole, for all communities that live here. And whatever that option may be, then that's the option that we should opt for. We should not be playing favoritism for one community or another. We should see what helps all of us as a collective whole to elevate and rise from the current situation that we're in.
All right, thank you, Anthony. We're going now back to the public safety category. Again, Anthony, Please pick a number from 1 to 16, excluding 1, 3, 7, 9, 10, or 16.
2.
2. All right, thank you so much. I'll clean this up again. Elizabeth, can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. Kelly from Ward 3 asks, will you continue uniformed officer patrols in the downtown area?
Yes, I will. I believe that they're doing a good job and they're expanding that to other areas that might be more troublesome. I think it's good to put a face to our officers, to have them around the community, even for the small problems. I remember 2 years ago, I sat in front of Veterans Park and called the dispatch line and waited 45 minutes because there was 4 people doing a zombie dance at Veterans Park, high as heck. No one came. Eventually I had to go to work, so I had to leave. Having the officers readily available and having that substation downtown makes them more easily able to deter public intoxication, public use of drugs and other paraphernalia. And they're able to more quickly respond to situations downtown that happen.
Okay, thank you so much. Elizabeth, we have 11 questions left in this category. Could you please pick a number from, 10 questions left in this category. Could you please pick a number from 1 to 10 for June? Number 2. All right, June, question number 2, Tim Brown from Ward 1 asks, do you support the recent bail law reform provisions passed in 2018, 2019? And I think it refers to the ones at the state level. Can you hear me, June?
I think we have a delay on your unmuting system.
Sorry about that.
So I do believe that the intent when that law was passed came from a good place. We need to be careful that we are not incarcerating people unfairly or creating a situation where someone can't ever get bail to go out. However, I think the interpretation of them has some issues. And I do know that our police department is working to get those changed. And I do believe we need to make some changes and modifications to that system and to that law.
Okay, thank you. We have 9 questions left. Please pick a number from 1 to 9 in this category for Anthony.
Okay, and I'm sorry, I'm just going to add one more thing before I do my
Sure,
1 to
no
9
problem.
for Anthony. Just a reminder to folks also, especially on the public safety side of questions, the police and the fire department have been joining together and are doing a series of community meetings. So in addition to foot patrols and being out in hotspots and working through the various changes and modifications they're working, the next meeting, and I know Inklink keeps this calendar going, the next meeting is, I believe, Monday the 13th at 6 p.m. It is at the Central Fire Department. Bring your own chair. We went to the first one. It was a great forum to really be able to talk and talk to the officers. Chief Alderman brings a pretty good compliment covering many areas in the city. So it's definitely, for those of you with the public safety questions, please get out to these meetings, get your questions in there and be able to talk to the police and help them understand what your concerns are. And at the same time, it gives them a chance to kind of address so we can learn from each other on what's happening and how things are progressing on that front. So I think I owe you a question, Anthony.
Okay.
I feel like we're on a game show here. I'm going to go with question 4.
Question 4. All right. Anthony, I will unmute you again.
There we go.
There we go. Question 4. Chris Martin from Ward 7. Education is key to public safety. How will you support public education in Manchester? Because Chris got a little tricky there.
Oh, beautiful question, Chris. That is a beautiful question. How would I support? How would I support education in Manchester?
Yes. And I suppose in regard to its connection to the police in this regard.
Well, like I said before, you know, we have to support our children by helping helping the programs that are being cut, that things that are causing them to fail, like such as Beach Street Elementary School. Over 90% of Beach Street Elementary School is on free lunch. And over 62% of the BIPOC students inside of Beach Street Elementary School are failing in one or more categories since COVID hit. So I feel like we need to focus on the inner city youth, you know, helping them to get more tutors, helping them to get laptops. They can't, not all of them are able to afford internet service so that they are able to take these remote classes, and that it stumped their growth throughout this pandemic. And so I feel like once we implement some tutoring programs for the youth and come together and support each other in that, then that will help our community to rise even more.
Thank you so much, Anthony. Before you mute yourself, we're moving on again to the infrastructure and business category, excuse me, the education category. We have 13 questions left in that category. Please pick a number from 1 to 13.
13.
Okay. All right, I'm meeting you, Elizabeth.
Yep.
Whenever you're ready. All right. Green Acres mom from Ward 8 asks, do you feel that Green Acres Elementary is safe for students?
My daughter previously attended Green Acres. It's a great school. We had some difficulties with some of the curriculum and teachers perhaps, but the safety of those schools, especially Green Acres, I feel is on point. I don't have any safety concerns for that school. In regards to our previous response, the whole city school system is now on free lunch. Now that that is given out, how do you take that away from people? People adjust their budgets on how they spend, and that money now goes to other issues, that the skyrocketing inflation. So that's gonna be a program that we're gonna be stuck with moving forward. And I'm all for, feeding children that cannot be fed by their parents. Obviously, every child needs to eat. But if there were parents that were able to afford their children's lunch, why are they not paying for that now? And when do people see that coming back where they're gonna have to take over that responsibility for themselves again? In regards to laptops, obviously we need laptops for remote learning. Over 1,000 laptops were not returned at the end of last year's school year. That's a cost that the school is now having to recoup. Some of the laptops are in different countries, some are in Arizona, different states. We need responsibility in our schools, better accountability.
Okay. Elizabeth, before you go, we have 12 more questions in the education category. Please pick a number from 1 to 12 for June. Number 1. All right, June, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Question number 1 comes from East Side resident in Ward 6. He or she says, school test scores are poor. What are your plans to fix them?
My plans are continue to let the school administration do their job. I think as an alderman, it's not within my purview to raise the test scores. I think working and supporting the group, we bring our school administration together because of their expertise. Yes, I have a master's degree in education. I taught for 6 years a long time ago. Things are very different now. So I don't have the skill to go in and presume to tell the school department how we're going to raise the test scores. Yes, I would love to see adjustments made. However, I do believe that as your alderman at large, that's not really in my purview to do that. However, I do support the school department, I do support the teachers, and I do support the administration in working and making sure that they have what they need to perform their jobs and to help the students in our city learn.
Okay, thank you. We have 11 questions left in this category. Please pick a number for Anthony from 1 to 11.
Number 2.
Okay, let me unmute Anthony. All right, Anthony, number 2. Ashley Poulin from Ward 9 asks, do you believe in listening to expert professionals, academics, and scholars on matters in which you are not well versed? Are you able to remove your ego and focus on the best interest of a well-rounded student body? What do you think is the most important step for Manchester schools to focus on in the coming year? That's a couple of questions there, Ashley. What do you think? What do you think, Anthony?
Oh, thank you for that beautiful question. Definitely appreciate it. I'm a man that believes in the first beginning. The first step to knowledge is you know nothing. So I'm always trainable and teachable, no matter how much expertise I may have in any given field. I'm still open and willing to listen to everybody. Now, they don't have to be an expert for me to listen to them. You know, I'm gonna listen to you because you're speaking to me. And obviously what you have to say is important. So of course, I'm open and willing to listen to any and everybody, and to see where you're coming from, because even if I have the same experience as you, I went through the same thing as you, you can still come out of it with a better perspective, you know. So it's always a beautiful thing to listen to someone and listen to them from their perspective and who they are and how they overcame something or how they solved something. And so in retrospect to that part of your question, of course I am open, but I like to echo June when I say I feel that the school board, they are experts in their field. The city elected them to be there, and I feel like they should be the ones that are answering these questions, and especially for our kids. They're the ones that's spending the time in that field, so we should allow them to see what's best for them.
Okay, thank you, Anthony. Going next to the infrastructure and business section again, we have 9 questions left. Anthony, for Elizabeth, please pick a number from 1 to 9. Anthony, can you hear me?
8.
8. Okay. All right, Elizabeth, can you hear me?
Yes.
Elizabeth? Okay. Kay from Ward 12 asks, how can we make our airport better?
Expanding our airport as much as we are able to would be great. I believe Ted Kitchens has done a great job at attracting some new services to Manchester. We need to continue doing that. As Boston expands, some of their services can come here because we have the capacity to do that here. Recovering from COVID, it's been going very well. The amount of flights coming in and out has been coming back. A lot of new flights originated from Manchester now. I believe one thing we can improve upon is original destinations. Typically, a lot of the flights out of Manchester need connecting flights, except for Manchester to Orlando and a few others. So expanding that, but that's really on Ted Kitchens and his team, working with those airlines and making Manchester attractive for them.
Okay. Elizabeth, we have 8 questions left in this category. Please pick one from 1 to 8 for June.
Yep. Number 2.
Okay. June, are you with us?
Yes.
Okay. Question number 2 comes from Pat Matson of Ward 3. Pat asks, should the city-owned land on Hackett Hill be placed under permanent protection, so adjacent land owned and managed by the Nature Conservancy will not be threatened by development-related undertakings?
I believe that at this point in time, with the Nature Conservancy has preserved and is maintaining the Cedar Swamp area. Any development that were to happen in that area would be evaluated at every point in time by the various commissions to ensure that we are not impeding on any conservation area. I am a huge fan of Cedar Swamp as trails. I am thrilled that they are now working on making those accessible to all people. And I believe that construction will be in October. I think it's definitely a gem and a treasure for the city to have something like that within our boundaries. So I do believe that going on as development were to happen up there, we would keep the same constraints in place that we already have. I want to touch back on the airport because I think one of the things that comes up that's tricky with the airport, Ted Kitchens did an amazing job when he came in and refinanced some of the debt, which saved some money. Yes, we do have issues that we are down on carriers. One of the fascinating things about managing airports is as you bring you have to kind of bring competition in so other carriers will come in. The other challenges we have with the airport, and I did learn this recently, that from other areas in the city, we don't have a transportation line to our airport to make it easily accessible for all flights. So that is one of the challenges. I was talking to some friends on the seacoast, and I believe it is a state-funded transportation system, if I have this correct, and I would need to double check it to confirm. But they do service to Logan Airport. They do not do service to Manchester Regional Airport. So it's something, again, that we have to kind of work on and find out how do we make it easier for people to come to Manchester. Another challenge that we have with airlines coming into the city is our lack of transportation from the airport and the multimodal. One of the issues that will happen with rail is currently the plan's a little bit off on where the station would be, but getting rail to the airport would actually be a carrot to bring other airlines and other carriers in. We can't unfortunately control the hub and spoke system of each airline. That is up to them. So I think just given our location, in the country and geographically, I think we're always going to be one of the spokes. We're never going to be a hub. So I think we're always going to have that connection. But in reality, the more people use the airport, the better we make it for people to come for carriers to come to the airport. So we just have to find ways to get transportation to the airport, and we have to keep promoting and having people fly out of Manchester. Recently, I had to do a last-minute flight out, and it was really nice to be able to, yes, my ticket was $100 more, but when it came to parking and everything else, I saved a fortune out of going out of Boston, and it was convenient. So I think we need to just keep it top of mind, keep using the airport, keep allowing Mr. Kitchens to do the job he's doing, and as we come out of this, we will be able to expand, and transportation is going to be key for that.
Okay, thank you, June. Before you go, for Anthony, please pick a number from 1 to 7.
5.
Okay. Question number 5. Just a reminder for folks out there listening, we are trying to give each of the candidates approximately 30 minutes. So we'll probably have time for another 1 or 2 questions here. So just be warned, if a candidate reaches their time limit, we're going to skip over them. So we're on to Anthony here for question number 5 in the infrastructure and business category. Anthony, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Rochelle from Ward 10 asks, what is your opinion on the current climate for downtown business and how can you make it better?
Small businesses are on the rise, but they still face challenges like applying for EIDL loans to help recover from COVID. They're also facing challenges of finding contractors to help work on their properties. Hourly workers are in short supply and many businesses can't fully staff the restaurants and shops. I believe that housing plays a role in the shortage of workers. As rents rise, wages can't keep up, driving young workers and families away from Manchester. And I believe that we are on the rise right now. The businesses are starting to get it together. They're starting to get a little bit more loans. We still do got to work on getting contractors. It's such a huge contractor issue. I'm a small business owner, And we've been trying to get contractors for like months now, you know, and I'm hearing from other small business owners that they're having the same problems. So we gotta do something about that issue. And but I feel like ultimately we're moving in the right direction, and things are starting to look up since the pandemic.
Okay, thank you, Anthony. Going on to the miscellaneous category again. Anthony, can you please pick a number from 1 to 12 for Elizabeth?
12.
Okay, thank you, Anthony. Elizabeth, can you hear us? Elizabeth?
Yes.
Okay. Question 12. Again, this is John from Ward 6. What issues affecting seniors in the city of Manchester are you most concerned with trying to remedy, solve, or eliminate?
There's several issues for seniors within our city. A lot of them don't want to access certain services given the environment that it might be in, you know, whether it's downtown, that they might not feel safe. Taxes going up because they're on fixed incomes, especially in Ward 6, across from the ice cream stand there. There's a certain community there that I'm very fond of. You know, they are scared of the taxes going up, especially with these reevaluations. If we had the taxing authority with the school, taxes go up to cover a $200, $300, $400 million project, they wouldn't be able to live here anymore. And I don't want to tax out our retired citizens. I don't want to tax out our senior citizens. I believe that they bring a lot of value to our communities. So I think that their biggest issues are the taxes, making sure that they're, you know, we do something to ensure that they can live off their fixed income, and then making sure that's a safe community for them to walk in. You know, fixing downtown where it's safe, you know, less shootings, less drug addicts on the streets, more safe walkways. You know, a senior citizen passed away in front of City Hall about a month or two ago, happened to be walking, a bike, you know, crashed into him. We need to make sure it's a safe environment downtown for everyone.
Okay. Elizabeth, before you mute yourself for June, please pick a number from 1 to 11.
Yep. Number 1, I just have to step away for one moment.
No problem. All right. June, question number 1. Have you received the vaccinations for COVID? If not, please explain why. June, can you hear us?
Thank you. Yes, I can. Just touching on the property taxes, and when we do have and more of a message for if we have elderly citizens living on a fixed income, the city does have tax exceptions available where we can help offset what they're paying in property taxes. So that's something, you know, if you have questions about that, you know, reach out to me. I'm happy to give you the link on the website, but it is something that is available. So if you are on a fixed income as an elderly resident and are concerned, we do have some programs, and please talk to someone at City Hall or reach out and we can help you with that. With regard to COVID, yes, I am proud to say that I was signed up on the day that I was eligible to sign up, and I am vaccinated. I am watching the science again, and if when and if it's decided that boosters are necessary, I will be in line for a booster again. And as I said earlier, we're being cautious. If we are in large groups, I'm still wearing a mask when I go to the supermarket, when I'm in public places, if we're out in large crowds. So yes, and I would encourage others to do the same.
Okay. Before you go, for Anthony, please pick a number from 1 to 10.
6.
All right. Question 6 for Anthony. Anthony, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay. Question 6. Jamie Vaughn from Ward 2 asks, what is your position on the proposed Z1 gas station for the corner of Wellington Road and Edward J. Roy Drive? Have you studied the plan, walked the sites, read the public comments that have been submitted from many residents, and considered the impact on traffic and safety of that neighborhood?
I would definitely have to get back to you on that. I haven't read the plans. So I would have to get back with my team, and I will make sure that I get you an answer.
Okay. All right. Let me stop your clock here. Okay, looks like I have time for one or two more questions for everybody. Again, we are going to the housing and home category one more time. Please pick a number 1 to 8 for Elizabeth.
And could you just tell me who read me that question again?
Oh, sure. That was Jamie Vaughn from Ward 2.
Jamie Vaughn.
Yep. So, okay. And
I'll pick 6.
okay. Elizabeth, are you back? Are you with us, Elizabeth?
Yes, I am.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. 6. Rochelle from Ward 10. What will you do to make other parts of the state pay for their fair share of New Hampshire's homelessness problem? We shouldn't have to pay for everyone. What's your response to Rochelle?
Yep, it's all about having a good communication link with the state level representatives, working with our governor instead of trying to blame all the problems on him, like was seen this past year. You need to have good communication across party aisles. It's a nonpartisan election, but honestly, all the decisions in City Hall are partisan. They're along party lines. You have the votes, you don't communicate across the aisle, or you want to part the blame on someone else. No one has accountability in City Hall, and we need a lot more of that in our Aldermanic board. Back to the Z1 board, most people know that myself and June were intimately involved in that. History speaks for itself. I don't think we should give a decision on if we would support it or not because of the way litigation had gone beforehand. But if you do your research on myself and June, you can see our positions previously, historically on that.
Okay, thank you, Elizabeth. We have 7 more questions in this category that are available. Please pick a number from 1 to 7 for June.
Number 5.
Okay, June, I'm unmuting you. Are you there?
I am, and before you ask the question, Andy, I'm going to jump in on the Z1 Express. As chair of the planning board at this point in time, I cannot make an official comment on it because I believe there is pending litigation. However, I will remind everybody, and I won't take the time to go into great detail now, but when you serve on the planning board or the zoning board of the city, you do have guidelines on projects and how they can be approved and what should be followed from a legal standpoint. And while we don't always agree on projects or we don't always feel that that's the best project, we all have to recognize that people do have a constitutional right to do with their property when it is zoned properly. So unfortunately, while it may not be a popular decision, in some cases, we do have to follow the law and we do have to follow the guideline when making a decision as part of a zoning or a planning board. So I will leave that at that. Now, if you could ask your question.
Sure. Steve from Ward 8 says, there is not enough parking downtown, and I hear developers want to add more housing down there without providing parking for their projects. Do you think people will agree to live in high-end housing without dedicated parking spaces?
I think that is going to, Steve, that's going to come down to the people that are renting the apartments. Historically, in a lot of cases, and again, this comes down to good public transportation infrastructure, which we have to do better at. In a lot of cases, people that are choosing to live in downtown areas, a lot of them tend not to drive and do so to walk in places. Again, there's guidelines in zoning that control parking and where you can park. I do believe that in cases in downtown Manchester, while you may not always be able to get a parking spot right in front of where you want to go, we do have adequate parking. And I've been a huge proponent of what I think we need to do is provide better lighting, better safety, more security to be able to walk a block or so when you're parking. That is common in most cities. I do it when I'm downtown, but we do need to find better pathways and find options in doing that.
Okay, thank you, June. And we have 6 more questions in this category. Please pick one from 1 to 6 for Anthony.
Number 3.
Number 3. Okay, Anthony, unmuting you again. Number 3, Tara Harlander from Ward 9 asks, what is your plan to create more affordable and safe housing for young families and adults who have difficulty maintaining employment due to childcare, mental health concerns, and lack of societal progress or support?
I'm sorry, can you reread that again?
Sure. What is your plan to create more affordable and safe housing for young families and adults who have difficulty maintaining employment due to childcare, mental health concerns, or lack of societal progress or support?
Well, that's exactly why I support the mental health workers, and that we need, and I support raise the wage, raise our minimum wage, because we need to be able to afford these mental health workers. You know, they don't come cheap, but the work that they do is so vital to the elevation of our city. You know, because it helps those with mental health illness. It helps them it puts them in a state of mind where they will be able to cope with life better. And those who have people with mental health problems, there's somebody there. You're not by yourself. And so that's why I support raise the minimum wage, so that when you are working, you will be able to afford your rents and your taxes.
Okay. Thank you, Anthony. And it looks like in our timers here, we come to the final question of the night for all three candidates. Back in the public safety category, Anthony, we have 8 questions left in that category. Please pick a number from 1 to 8 for Elizabeth.
8.
Okay, Elizabeth, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Tell me the question.
Okay. All right. Kay from Ward 12 asks, what can we do to get more traffic police? In my neighborhood, I see many speeders, but it seems like nothing is done.
So again, we are adding more patrols. We need to get our complement up to the full capacity that the chief has requested currently. And that takes a lot of innovative HR work, you know, drawing people here. There's a labor shortage across many states. And we need to think of innovative ways, maybe pathways from high school to, you know, associate's degrees or bachelor's degrees, and bring them back here to work here. As far as getting people into housing and assisting them with the applications at the state level, I used to have to use daycare assistants when I first came to Manchester 10 years ago. The paperwork for some can be very complicated and confusing. I think a lot of those health workers that we've hired recently in the city need to assist people in getting into the programs that we already have available. A lot of people don't know what forms to send out. Is it a city level or state level program? But we have the resources there. They just need to get connected to it. I believe Jim O'Connell mentioned someone was unable to feed their family. The husband was on disability. The wife was a caretaker at home. They had no food in their house. But it's really just a matter of filling out the proper forms to get the proper assistance to help that family thrive. We have the resources. We just need to help people get through that paperwork.
Okay, thank you so much. Before you go, we have 7 questions left in this category. Last question of the night for June. Please pick a number from 1 to 7. Number 4. Okay, June, can you hear me?
Okay, I'm back.
Okay, number 4. Ashley Poulin from Ward 9 asks, how do you envision public safety that does not involve armed individuals patrolling and policing all citizens for things that do not require an armed person present? How will funds from ineffective police departments be better spent elsewhere in the community in the name of public safety?
So I'm not sure I fully understand your question, Ashley. I think you might be referring to the new civilian team members that will be deployed in each of the wards as part of the American Rescue Plan. If that is the case, calls that are coming in will be triaged by the police department. We're not going to put someone in harm's way in any case. Even today, if an officer is deployed to a wellness check, there is a response team that is deployed as well. With, in most cases, I believe there is a social worker. Sometimes it's AMR. However, the officer on hand or in charge of the case or the call would then defer to the healthcare workers once the situation is safe or determined that there is no issue. So these things will be triaged. I don't believe it is Chief Aldenberg's or the health department's wish to send anyone into a dangerous situation. I have done a police ride along in the past. In some cases, it is literally a call and someone just needs you to knock on someone's door and make sure they're okay. And in those situations, the officers do great work. However, it's not necessarily something they're required for. And in some cases, on some of those calls, having an officer could potentially escalate the situation. So it's going to be a fine balance, but I have faith and trust in the police department and the mechanisms that they have in place to manage that, and that we won't be sending unarmed people into harm's way. So I appreciate the question, and I guess that's all I've got on that.
Okay. All right. Final question of the night for Anthony here in the public safety category. We have 7 questions left that we can choose from. Please pick a number from 1 to 7 for Anthony.
Number 1.
Number 1. Okay, Anthony, are you unmuted? One last time. Anthony.
There we go.
There we go. All right. Okay. Kelly from Ward 3 asks, will you continue uniform officer patrols in the downtown area?
Will I continue, sorry about that.
I think I might have already asked that one.
Will I continue uniform officers patrolling downtown?
Yes.
Yes, actually, I would like the beat cop to actually come back. You know, I grew up in New York. I've been a resident of Manchester now 10 years. Going on a little more than 10 years. And I grew up in New York, and I can remember when I was a kid, there was what we call in New York beat cops, the cops that walk around the block. And it wasn't like they were walking around the block harassing the community. They'll knock on the door, they'll sit and chill and talk, have conversations with the community. I remember one, I think he's an FBI agent now, but back then he was a beat cop, and Officer Vinny. Vinny used to throw the football back and forth with us all the time. The drug dealers that was on the block, maybe other cops thought he should have arrested them, but he would get them out because they were all young, they were all kids. And he would go and grab them up and like, listen, do you want to be locked up or do you want to make something of yourself? You know, and take all the drugs and bring them home. And that's the kind of policing that we need. And is the police that know who we are, not the police that come into our communities fearing us, you know. And so I support beat cops because beat cops really get to know the community. So as long as they are willing to actually speak to the community, don't just walk around the neighborhood and be an intimidating presence. We want to welcome you in, so welcome us in. And as long as we welcome each other and they have a conversation, because we fear the unknown. And if I tell you who I am and you tell me who you are, then we're no longer unknown. Now we're known. And you know me and I know you, and we're more susceptible to get things done that way versus having our arrest records go up.
Thank you so much, Anthony. And like I said, we're out of time. I just want to thank all 3 candidates who joined us tonight. Just a reminder for folks who are listening to this, we will have another debate with the other 4 candidates for the at-large alderman seats. Again, the primary day is September 21st. There'll be 4 finalists after that primary. We also have a one-on-one with Rich Gerard tomorrow. We'll be using the same set of questions. If you have any questions, please send them to us at manchesterinklink.com/2021 debate questions. And like I said earlier, we're working on a debate from a particular contested Aldermanic ward. So stay tuned for that. Thank you for joining us,
Oh,
everyone.
Anthony Harris, Alderman at large, Manchester, New Hampshire, September
thank you.
21st.
Thank you, Anthony. My name is Andrew Sylvia. I'm from Manchester Inklink. Thank you for joining us. This will be up later tonight on Manchester Inklink, and talk to you soon. Bye-bye.